Welcome to an all-new edition of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. Thank you so much for joining us, and of course, Happy New Year. We have a busy show on tap, of course, a very busy weekend in the SJHL. We're also going to be joined by Melfort Mustangs forward Clay Sleeva, get his thoughts, of course, on being traded from the Yorkton Terriers to the Melfort Mustangs. And of course, he has now been with the Mustangs for about a month and a half, so we'll check in to see how all of that is going and much, much more. But before we get into all of it, we have to give a big shout out and a big thank you to all of our great sponsors in the SJHL. Of course, these shows are presented by our good friends at UPL. And of course, all of our other great sponsors, Bourgault, Cantera Seeds, Capital Automall, Chevrolet, Great Western, Nutrien, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Sask Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, UPL, Sask Energy, SGEU, SGI. Thanks so much for your support. Without your support, these shows are not be possible. And if you are a regular viewer of this program, you may notice behind me that something's a little bit different. And as we come to the three-shot and we bring in our co-hosts, Jamie Neugebauer, Rory McGouran, we have a new set. We got a new set for Christmas. This is very exciting.
New year, new set. Look how good it looks. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yes, big shout out to our great creative team at IKS for creating this beautiful new set. We're excited. Guys, of course, we had the game of the month on Friday, so I know how your Friday went, but how was the rest of your guys this weekend?
Yeah, great. Just excited to get back in the full swing of things. Super Saturday on Saturday with all 12 teams in action. Gotta love that. And you can kind of see it, the intensity, the competitiveness of the games around the league were off the charts. A great weekend all around. I can't wait to break it down.
Yeah, it's been busy, but it's been a lot of fun. I loved the game of the month. That was a great time. We'll get into that, but we had a great time doing it. It was a great game. Esteban Weber brought it. We'll get into it, but I just love being back in the ring. That's the best thing of it.
It was a great game of the month. It was a great first week back in 2024, and this coming week is going to be very busy with all the different things going on in the SJHL. But let's recap the first weekend of 2024. It was a busy one. So let's start with Friday. 4 games on the schedule. The Humboldt Broncos with a 3-1 win on the road in Yorkton against the Terriers. Of course, we alluded to it, the game of the month. Weyburn hanging on to beat Estevan 3-2. Flin Flon doubling up Nipawin 4-2. And the Laurent Ice Wolves knocking off the Melfort Mustangs 6-5 in overtime. And then on Saturday, a super Saturday in the SJHL, which means all 12 teams took to the ice. Nipawin 8-3 winners over Laurent. Melville 6-2 over Weyburn. Yorkton with the comeback win over Notre Dame 3-2. Battleford's 3-1 over Estevan. Melfort shutting out the Flin Flon Bombers 3-0, handing them just their second regulation loss of the season. And Humboldt with a 6-4 win over Kindersley. And then finally on Sunday, the lone game on the docket, Battleford shutting out Notre Dame by a mark of 3-0. And of course, all of our lookbacks are presented by our good friends at Sask Lottery. So a total of 11 games on the schedule in the SJHL over the course of the last 3 days. Let's start with that heavyweight tilt Saturday night, Northern Lights Palace, and it was the Melfort Mustangs shutting out the Flin Flon Bombers, earning a 3-0 victory. Only 2 teams have beat Flin Flon this year, and those 2 teams have done it twice. A very impressive win by Melfort.
Yeah, really impressive. And in the Northern Lights Palace, they drugged the Flin Flon Bombers kind of into the depths of the exact style of play that the Melfort Mustangs want to play. And now, as you mentioned, Melfort has not only beaten Flin Flon twice, they have beaten Flin Flon in both buildings. So I'm going to pose a question now to Nugsy, which this game was more beneficial to which team? Because Melfort now can beat Flin Flon at the wit. They did that in the second game of the season in overtime. They've now shut them out in the Northern Lights Palace at home. This will not be a first-round matchup, but 100% it could be a second round, and 100% it could be a championship matchup. Melfort has the belief that they can beat the Flin Flon Bombers in both buildings. On the other side, we kind of talk about Flin Flon has not had a ton of adversity this year. A loss to a team that has been undefeated in their last 9 games, points in their last 10, been the hottest team, among Flin Flon, Battleford, Humboldt, of course, but maybe the hottest over the last month and a half stretch. To lose to that team and know what you need to do differently to beat them, especially on the road, which is tough to win in Melfort, who does this benefit more? The belief for Melfort or a little bit of adversity and a self-check for the Bombers? Because I think you need that as well.
Yeah, I mean, if I know Mike Reagan, and I think I know him a little bit, he doesn't like losing anything. Like, I would not want to lose a game of cards or anything, really. So benefit. Yeah, I think you could probably see some positives for sure in terms of galvanizing his team. I think Trevor Blevins is certainly the happier man because of it, and the happiest Melfort Mustang is probably James Venn after his performance in L'Orange. Probably left something to be desired, and so it's always good to see a guy take that energy of frustration of saying, I can do better than I played, and steer it into a shutout of the number one team in the CJHL. By the way, they are still the number one team in the CJHL rankings. That came out today. But James Venn, his 4th career shutout. Great to see a kid bounce back. And, the Melfort Mustangs played really, really well in this game. It wasn't just James Venn hanging on for dear life like some of the other times that Flin Flon have lost this year. The other team kind of hanging on for dear life. There was just over 2 in terms of expected goals for the Flin Flon Bombers. Not too many teams are holding the Flin Flon Bombers to that type of performance. It's the first time also the Flin Flon Bombers have been shut out since Game 2 of the finals at the Access Communications Center in North Battleford. So, yeah, I'm getting Mike Reagan's not happy, but he can see the positives, I would say. Trevor Blevins, probably mixed, wasn't happy with what he saw against L'Orange. Very happy with this performance here. And we've seen it before, though. If there's a team that can somehow match the Flin Flon Bombers so far this year, it's been Melfort. Trevor Blevins knows a game plan, put it to work. And by the way, we're talking about Flin Flon running away, and sure, they've been awesome, no question, but they're only 9 points. I mean, that's a lot of points, but they're still only 9 points ahead in first. It's not like it's sealed up.
Nope.
So Mike Reagan's not going to be thrilled either that his team got shut out. What coach would be?
Coming out of the holiday break too, you'll see some teams, right, just have a little bit of, we got to get back to the same consistency we've been playing in, right? Nipawin was leading that game 2-0 in the first game. Flin Flon, they found a way to win that game, and then they go back and get shut out by Melfort. So holiday break isn't easy to come back from for a lot of players, a lot of teams, and I just think maybe that's a little bit to do with it. You mentioned James Venn. This guy's got 6 assists for a goaltender, which is crazy in 30 games, and he's got 6 assists already.
That's more than a lot of people in the league.
It is. A lot of players have less than 6 assists. Yeah. So that's important. And then, you just got to have a smile also for Melfort Mustangs fans because they're playing this well. And they have a guy like Ryan Dugay waiting in the wings. Absolutely. I don't know the length of the injury and when that will be back, but it happened in late November against the Humboldt Broncos, November 24th, I think it was. So, in a couple of weeks, we'll be nearing on 2 months time out. And I mean, when they get Dugay back in the lineup, man. Melfort is going, they're a wagon right now. Yeah. I want to pose one more question before we move on. Just because of how amazing the top 4 teams in the league have been doing, right? I don't know if we've seen this in recent memory with such separation. We talked about it on SJHL Insider. You can look at it, and I wouldn't say you're far-fetched at all to say home ice advantage is wrapped up, and we got 20 games left. There's a 13-point separation between the Broncos and Nipawin doesn't have any games against the Broncos left for 4-point swings. So I'm really impressed with those top 4 teams, and I also have never seen all 4 teams in the SJHL being in the CJHL rankings, and all 4 teams are right now. So really impressed with Flin Flon, Battleford, Melfort, and Humboldt of what they've been able to do in the first half of the season to separate themselves that much.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, too, is the race from 2 to 4 is interesting just for the seeding.
Yeah.
But like you said, the top 4 seeds are, for the most part, it's going to... You would need a major collapse by one of those top 4 teams. And then you would also need one of those teams from, 5 to 8 to go on a very impressive run. Now, let's talk about the other 2 teams in the Sherwood Division just quickly. Despite losing to the Flin Flon Bombers Friday on the road at the Whitney Forum, the Nipawin Hawks, 4 out of 6 points. They put the puck in the back of the net a lot at the cage. And we've talked about Nipawin this year, a little bit of a disappointment. A game under 500 right now. But is this maybe a good way to start 2024? And maybe this is the start of a swing where they could, get on a little bit of a run.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tale of 2 seasons already for Nipawin. I mean, the first hit of the year, they were trying to figure it out. They made a whole bunch of ads. My Christmas present for them, remember, was name tags because they kept getting new guys and new key guys in. Alex Bernauer and Artem Prabovetsky and Braden Jockums, and the list kind of goes on. And pretty cool jerseys the Nipawin Hawks were sporting too. Yeah, they outshot the Flin Flon Bombers at the Whitney Forum. It's just the third time this year that the Flin Flon Bombers have been outshot at the Whitney Forum. The Flin Flon Bombers 4 for 7 on the power play that game. You know, you give the Flin Flon Bombers opportunity, it's going to be, you know, an enormous trouble to try to win that hockey game because they obviously have the best power play in the league. We've seen that all year long. But yeah, very impressive stuff. The Nipawin Hawks, one thing they can do, boys, they can skate. Braxton Buckberger is currently in the longest point streak in the league now that Kean Bell's streak is over. We'll talk about that in a second, I guess. But streak at 14 points over 9 games and 6 points in 3 games to start 2024 for Braxton Buckberger. So, you know, pretty neat for the Buckberger family, obviously, to get to, in Nugs and Notes, the World Junior A Challenge and what Ronan did there, too. But, yeah, the Nipawin Hawks got to be happy. They outshoot the Bombers. Yeah, they lose. And then they put a real number up on the L'Orange Ice Wolves. So I think everybody's happy up at the cage right now.
100%. I mean, the big thing with Nipawin, we talked about it in our final show of 2023, was that they had played the most games, and they're looking behind them at this group of teams that were 5 teams, 6 points within them, right? And a bunch of them had 5 games in hand, 4 games in hand. And you're like, okay, you got to win. You got to come back from the break. You can't have a slump because you're going to find yourself go from 5th to 9th in a hurry. And they picked up 4 out of 6 points, 2 wins out of 3 games, scoring 17 goals in that span. Really, really impressed with what they did. I mean, they could have beat Flin Flon. They just weren't able to hang on, and not many teams really have been. So the crazy thing about Nipawin, though, and you kind of see that separation between 5 and 6. They're in 5th place, and they are 1 game below 500. Nipawin has not won more than 2 games in a row all season long. And you look at the standings there. So, yes, they are in the playoff spot right now. Look, they've played 35 games. Only one team has played more. It's the Melfort Mustangs with 36. So they are still in that, okay, we need to, we need to string together wins. We can't go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because if those teams behind them start taking 3 steps forward or 4 steps forward and 1 step back, those game in hands are going to matter. And Nipawin to go out and beat Kindersley 7-3, beat LaRange 8-3. Those are wins that you need to have right now. Good performance against Flin Flon. But yeah, you got to win more than 2 games eventually. And right now they just haven't been able to.
Well, and especially a valuable win against Kindersley, because going into that game, they were dead even. They were tied for points in the SJHL standings. And like you mentioned, Rory, I mean, you look at a team like Melville, they have 6 games in hand on Nipawin, 6 points back. And then as well as, I mean, Weyburn, only 4 points back of them with 5 games in hand. So lots to be determined. And like you said, for Nipawin, they are in a territory where they need to continue to win hockey games. And 2 out of 3 ain't bad this past week for Nipawin. Now, a team that has been playing some good hockey prior to the holiday break, we saw them at the first SJHL game of the month, and then to kick off 2024, the Battleford's North Stars. Tidy business on the road, 3-1 victors over Estevan, 3-0 win on yesterday against the Hounds. Nugsy, what'd you see?
Yeah, I messaged Braden Klamosko, obviously asking some questions before the Hounds and Stars were going to play, and I said, man, crazy what you guys are doing given the wild ride you've had in net, because the Battleford's North Stars started their 5th different goalie in Wilcox, and Matthew MacArthur was phenomenal. But I mean, 4 games in a row now for the Battleford's North Stars where they've given up 2 goals or fewer, and yeah, the goals aren't flying in maybe like they were either for the North Stars, but when you give up 2 or fewer every game, you have a great chance to win the hockey game. No points in 2024 yet for Kean Bell. His leading 13-game point streak was finished, but that's not going to, he's not going to hold it down for too long, and still the North Stars is able to win. But contributions from everywhere. They're getting some more points from Josh Metternach. I think that's a big piece for them too. They're just so deep, top to bottom. We heard an interview at the game of the month there in Kindersley when Jordan Grill was interviewed, and they said, what's the difference between this year and last year? And he said, I think this year is deeper. I think the 3rd and 4th lines are more likely to score this year. And saw a beautiful goal last night from Jackson Allen too. So yeah, this Battleford's team, they're starting to play their playoff hockey a little bit maybe sooner than a lot of teams are, and get it tighter and get it tougher and get it grittier and maybe score less but also give up less. And I think Braden Klamosko's got to be very happy with what he saw on this road trip. And just a quick point, I think the Notre Dame Hounds, had plenty of chances. I know you say a 3-0 shutout win for the Battleford's North Stars. The Hounds had 5, 6, 7 chances. Johan Tremblay-Cow and Matthew MacArthur went toe-to-toe. It was a great game. The Hounds hit a post. The Stars hit a post, too. It was really, really back and forth, a really good hockey game, and I'm sure it was the same at Affinity Place. So the North Stars, starting to play their playoff hockey early. They know how to win under Klamosko and all those returnees, and they're starting off 2024 the right way with 4 points on not an easy road trip.
Are the North Stars the Cleveland Browns of the SJHL, right? Cleveland starting 4 different quarterbacks and making the NFL playoffs, and Battleford
Maybe.
North Stars starting 5 different goaltenders and have a 24-7 record.
Yeah, that's wild. It's
incredible.
impressive.
Matthew MacArthur, and this is an insane stat. It's 5th different goaltender, but it's the 3rd goalie for Battleford's to pick up a shutout in their very first appearance with the team.
That's unbelievable.
So Joey
That's
Hocko did it in the first game of the season. Justin Merrick did it when he came back from the dub in his first game with Battlefords. And now Matthew MacArthur's done it. 3 goalies, first game of the North Stars, shutout.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and Matthew MacArthur had not played since like mid-November. Got hurt in the North American Hockey League with Austin, and then comes to Wilcox. And yes, you say the 12th place Notre Dame Hounds. Hounds didn't play bad. There was lots of chances for the Hounds, and MacArthur was awesome. It was a really good goalies duel overall. So again, great pickup, it seems, from the Battleford North Stars in a small sample size.
And I got a cool one here in positivity for Battlefords. Not that they were lacking positivity, but just to get the fans a little bit more excited, right? The last 2 champions, Battlefords North Stars and Estevan Bruins, their longest losing streak of the season in their championship year was 2 games.
Okay.
There's only 2 teams right now that have only lost 2 games or less in a row. It's the Flin Flon Bombers. It's the Battlefords North Stars. Melfort and Humboldt, their longest losing streak is 3 games. But when you just look at kind of things that have happened in the past, Battlefords has not lost 3 games in a row. Flin Flon has not lost 2 games in a row.
Yeah, and they're 8-0-2 in their last 10, so 18 out of a possible 20 points. They are playing some very good hockey in North Battleford as of right now. Let's talk a little bit about, Rory, the Humboldt Broncos. Obviously, you weren't at the game, unfortunately, on Friday because you're doing the SJHL Game of the Month, but a 6-4 win on the road Saturday in Kindersley, similar to Battleford's. 2 big wins on the road and a big, valuable 4 points.
2 big wins on the road, and we talked about the holiday break. So to come out of the holiday break and then not only have 1 road game all the way in the Saskatchewan's east in the Parkland region, but then the very next day go all the way to the West Central in Kindersley. And, it's a tough coming back from a break like that, and picking up 2 road wins was really impressive. Ran into penalty troubles a bit. They were out power played 13-5, I do believe it was. So good to see the special teams kind of, stand strong. Both goaltenders were really spectacular. And I mean, Matthew Van Blericom, I know we talk about him ad nauseum sometimes, but he is playing with some form of unshakable swagger, like that gold medal is still dangling from the neck when he's out on the ice. And you could see it against the Kindersley Clippers. When Kindersley pushed back and tied that game up with 3 straight goals, 4-4, Van Blericom a minute later scores the game winner, scores the empty net goal, gets the hat trick, and then seals the victory for the Broncos. He's just been phenomenal. But those are not easy wins to make, especially against 2 teams, one trying to get back into the playoffs, one trying to, find a little bit more cementing themselves into the playoff race, both on the road, a lot of travel after the holiday break, and they did that. It's a really good job done.
I'm going to ask you a pretty impossible question to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways because, sometimes I ask bad questions. But anyways, here we go. How much did Canada coaching for the Canada West team distract Scott Barney? Was it at all an element? And if it was an element, how much is it help for him now that he doesn't have 2 teams to think about? He just has 1 now to think about with the Humboldt Broncos, or was it not even a factor?
I don't think it was really a factor. There was more work that he was juggling, trying to piece together the roster for Team Canada West. But, he had the GM, Nigel Dubé, also helping out. He had a couple other people looking at some players, and they would all work together. Sole focus was the Humboldt Broncos, of course, which I guess makes matters even more impressive that they went out and won gold. Right. But, no, for sure, I would say...
He's human.
And I would also say that not having that second task to worry about is a benefit. Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
But would I call it a distraction? No.
Right.
I would not call it a distraction. And trade deadline's coming up, so obviously he was still had the eyes on the Broncos because they go and they acquire Boris Kaufman. Right. Now they go and acquire Jacob Streetsy, who will make his first appearance either Tuesday or Friday for the Humboldt Broncos. Kaufman 2 points in 2 games since coming over. But so he was always, 80% probably Humboldt, 20%. But
he's human.
I'm sure that not having that is a benefit for everyone. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's talk about Game of the Month, because we had so much fun Friday in Weyburn, Crescent Point Place. It was a great atmosphere, great hockey game between the Wings and the Bruins. Just your guys' thoughts on Game of the Month this past week, Newsy?
Yeah, it was penalty filled, obviously.
Yeah. It always seems like it is against those two.
Yeah, they didn't like each other, and again, it wasn't friendly.
Yeah.
18 power plays, I believe, was the total.
Yeah.
Both teams had 9 power plays, and plenty of opportunity at the end for the Estevan Bruins to tie the game up. But they never quit. It was a really fun game to watch. It was a really fun game to broadcast. Both teams, there was a lot of nasty. We all expected it to be that way. But the Weyburn Red Wings got a great goaltending performance from Daza Mitchell. Started great, as you can see. Daniel Tukaruski, his first career SJHL goal, and Estevan had a really good energy going in the first 10 minutes or so. But I think Weyburn really also ground them down, got their feet moving, got the forecheck going, and Estevan started taking penalty after penalty after penalty. So it kind of got mean and nasty and penalty filled, and that slowed it just down a touch in the middle portion of the game, I thought, boys. But overall, it was a great atmosphere. It was a great game, and I really enjoyed it.
It's always a great atmosphere. It's always a great time doing the Game of the Month as you watch the highlights here. This was a really, really close game. Yes, it was penalty filled, kind of mucked it up, slowed it down a bit. Hey, I'm going to give props to the Estevan Bruins, and then I'm going to, also say something negative. They were great 5-on-5.
Yeah,
They were the much better team 5-on-5. They ran into penalty troubles. They took some not so smart penalties. Weyburn did the same too, taking some not so smart penalties. And I just did not really like the Estevan Bruins power play at all. I think we mentioned it on the broadcast. It just looked kind of stagnant. Yeah. And they had the opportunity to tie that game and win the game with the power play. But I just needed to see a little bit more urgency when they had the man advantage until not the last 6 minutes of the game. Yeah. And I didn't. But 5-on-5, I thought they were dominating Weyburn. And Weyburn at home, hey, congratulations. They win the Highway 39 Cup, winning 4 straight games. They still have 2 more, but it's over.
It's over.
Can't win the Cup. Weyburn gets it this year. I know it's been a couple of years since they've won it, so congratulations to them. That means a lot to the communities in this rivalry, so I love seeing that. But I'm worried about Estevan right now. I'm worried because I saw what they did 5-on-5, but I just didn't like what they did on the power play, so... I liked what Jeromy Corrigan did, and I think you can throw to that there, Jeromy.
Well, yeah, you teased it up perfectly. So let's go to the Tourism Sask highlight of the week from the SJHL Game of the Month.
But the Weyburn Red Wings, as they said, they have experience coming back in games.
Jeromy Corrigan will work it in. You can see the speed, the skill of Corrigan. Backdoor scores! What a move by Jeromy Corrigan. Nicholas Kovacs will bang it home. Oh, baby, what a goal. It's 1-1.
That was just sick, wicked, and nasty. Nick Kovacs going backdoor.
And he's really been a spark plug for their offense this year. We've seen time and time again. It seems like he just does all these unbelievable moves. We've seen him do incredible shootout goals. He's just been such a... there's so many great adjectives I could use to describe his play for the Weyburn Red Wings this year. But, I mean, that setup, that's one of the better assists you're going to see all year in the SJHL.
It's the highlight. It's a candidate. I know there'll be a package at the end of the season that we throw together, highlight of the year nominees. That's in it. And, I mean, just the great Game of the Month camera angles that you got with it, too. You couldn't have been paired any better. Yeah. That was a heck of a move. And we're going to do some mock showcase lineups coming back. I'm interested to see who Nugsy is paired with Jeromy Corrigan, and I guarantee he's on both of our teams. But he's been sensational, just so fun to watch. Just plays like he just looks like he has so much fun playing the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah, I spoke to somebody when the Weyburn Red Wings acquired him that watched him a lot playing Delta Prep, the CSSHL in BC. And they said, the skill was always there. It was whether he could deliver that final move, that final play, make something happen with all the sizzle. He's added the steak to the sizzle. He's the complete package right now for the Weyburn Red Wings, and he's so much fun to watch. I said it on the broadcast. He tries things. We talk about the kids being locked in their systems and stuck and playing this robotic hockey. Not Jeromy Corrigan. He's out there having fun, and he's not getting in trouble at the same time. He's killing penalties very well, too. Seems like a terrific leader for that team. So great. So much fun to watch. Worth the price of admission whenever you can watch the Weyburn Red Wings play.
Absolutely. And then, unfortunately for the Wings, and after that big emotional victory over the Estevan Bruins Friday, unable to follow it up quickly on Saturday against the Melville Millionaires. A big win for Melville, winning 6-2, getting back in the win column after 2 losses to Yorkton. it was a win if, they needed, because obviously they're fighting for a playoff spot right now.
Yeah, a long, dry spell for Caden Drury, who I thought, was the guy who was the breakout, the turner around guy, what's the technical term for a guy who's improved? Most improved. How do you know? I figured it out.
The technical term.
Whatever. I thought he was the guy that had really figured it out, to start this year. And I still really like him. He does a lot of things 200 feet for Melville, but for him to get a couple of goals, I think this Melville Millionaires team, after 2 games that didn't go their way against Yorkton to start the new year, I think they really needed this boost. Yeah, certainly. I think the Weyburn Red Wings, all that emotion. It was a slog there at the end to hang on against Estevan, taking penalty after penalty. But certainly, we've seen this Melville team every time we think that they're maybe dead, maybe they're on a bit of a losing streak, maybe they're going to fall off. They come up with a win like this, and Doug Johnson's guys. You know what? They can beat anybody on their night. They've beaten Flin Flon twice, and did it in good fashion at the Horizon Credit Union, or the Canadian National Railway Center, now what it's called.
Oh, yes. Good save.
And they found a way again here today to pull out a big result, and I'm happy. The Melville community needs and wants and deserves this season to continue to be good, and I think under Doug Johnson, I think that's the way it's going to go. So, big result for the Melville Millionaires at an important time.
Yeah. Melville's got to play with the lead, right? They're
Absolutely.
7-1. They got to get a good start. They got to get pucks to the net. I know those are all cliche things to say, but when you kind of look at the record, when they outshoot their opponent as opposed to when they're outshot, or when they give up the game's first goal to when they score it, or when they lead after the first, it's drastic, right? And some teams, they can overcome maybe a slower start. Melville seems to be that team that just needs that start, right?
Absolutely.
They need that start. You look at them in 1-goal games, they've played 14 1-goal games, they've played 12 2-goal games. So they're not outpowering their teams, and they're not really getting blown out. All games are close. So those leads after the first, the really good starts are imperative to them to keep up their strong play. And for the Weyburn Red Wings, they got the easiest schedule based off of opponents' kind of win percentage left in the season, but they got to go up against the teams like Melville, right? Like Notre Dame, who's fighting. They're going up against now teams that maybe aren't the top 4 anymore, but they're going up to teams that are fighting and are in desperation mode. So is that the easiest strength of schedule? I don't know. There's nothing.
I guess we'll find out.
There's nothing certain for those teams. So they're playing for their lives. And Weyburn, those are your opponents now. So get used to it.
Well, the good news for Weyburn is you have a chance at getting some revenge, because those 2 teams will meet again.
That was their first game between them.
It was the first meeting of the season, and now you get to see each other again tomorrow night at Crescent Point Place. But before we go to break, Noogs, are you excited? It's time now for your favorite segment. It's time for Noogs and Notes. You've had almost a month to compile a new list of Noogs and Notes, Noogsy, so we're excited. Take it away.
Yeah, I've got four items, so I'll try to keep it crisp, as they say. Great Western Brewery is the sponsor, so thank you to them. I bought Brett and the boys some 016 yesterday, in fact. So there you go.
The official beer of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League.
Exactly. Yeah, the original brewery started in Saskatoon in 1927 as Hub City Brewing. It changed to O'Keefe Brewing in 1989. In the late 80s, a lot of big brands were starting to push smaller brands out of the market, and the company looked like it was in danger. So 16 of the company's employees pooled their resources, came together, and formed Great Western Brewing, and also 016. That's why 016 is called 016, because of those 16 people. And they use only premium Western Canadian ingredients, and have been a very proud and wonderful partner with the SJHL for a couple of years now. So thank you, Great Western Brewing. We've had no show since, so I got to mention it. Scott Barney, Jason Saville, obviously Ronan Buckberger, and Matthew Van Blericombe, gold medalists at the World Junior A Challenge. I know it was a while ago in mid-December in Nova Scotia, but so proud of all those guys. Both Ronan and Matthew scored 2 goals each in the gold medal game in a 7-2 win over Canada East. Those dirty Canada East. Just kidding. You guys are, I think people are giving me a hard time.
You said it.
Who are you cheering?
said it.
Who are you cheering for, you Easterner? There you go. 7-2 after a slow start for Canada West. But good for them. They figured it out. And obviously in the end, both Matthew and Ronan were big contributors. So
absolutely.
Really proud of those guys. And obviously Scott and Jason, great job all the way around, as well as Ty Mason and Ryan Zaremba and other guys involved with the SJ that were on that team. The trade deadline is coming. We've seen a bunch of moves
Run down a few here quickly. The Notre Dame Hounds got a goalie from the Calgary Canucks, Spencer Borsos, for future considerations. The Broncos added 2 forwards from the Ontario Junior Hockey League. You mentioned it a bit. Boris Kaufman, who's played already from the Toronto Junior Canadiens in the OJHL. And my old club, the North York Rangers, Jacob Stritzy. Also Scott Barney's old club, the North York Rangers, Jacob Stritzy. The Herb Carnegie Centennial Arena, what a classic rink that is. The Melville Millionaires got a defenseman, Logan Goodwin, from the Wellington Dukes. And the Flin Flon Bombers got Jerome Gilbert from the Yarmouth Mariners in the Maritime League. In exchange for Fabrice Bourgeois. A couple other moves were guys going out, but I thought I'd sort of mention the guys who are coming in more focused. Yep. And lots of rumors flying around the next couple of days, boys, too.
Yep.
Could be nuts. And then just a last point, we could circle back to the trade deadline if you guys want, but just the last point, I don't think we've had a show either, so we got to make a big applause for Evan Forrest, committed to the University of Concordia at Wisconsin Division III. Good program that has been paying attention to the SJ for a while. Talk about Evan Forrest, who is just fit perfectly for the Nipawin Hawks after coming over from the Estevan Bruins in the offseason. Really good player, can really skate, and really happy for Evan Forrest to land at a great program. So there you go. There's Nugs and Notes.
Stephen Turner made a comment there, said, great set, boys, looking very sharp. Thank you, but that has nothing to do. We don't do that. That's everyone behind the scenes. It does look amazing.
They're the smart people.
They deserve all the props behind the scenes. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Stephen, you nailed it. All right. Well, after the break, we are going to be joined by Clay Sleeva of the Melfort Mustangs. Get his thoughts on his new team, the big win over Flin Flon, and much more. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
It's the 2023 model clearout at Capital GMC. Drum roll, please. 0% financing is back. For a limited time, finance rates are as low as 0% on select new 2023 GMC Sierras. CapitalGMC.ca.
Connecting with customers can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. At Direct West, we have the marketing tools and expertise to help introduce your business to the masses and help it grow. Connect with more customers. Direct West.
As a student, things can pile up fast. Ouch. But the RBC Student Banking Bundle makes back to school easier with up to $275 in value. That's a whole pile of takeout.
Today, online bullying is more common than ever, but there is help. SaskTel wants to solve this problem. It's why they created Be Kind Online. If you're a victim of online bullying or know someone who is, or even if you just want to stop it from happening to anyone, this is a place to learn what you can do. You can find lots of tools and tips to help you stand up to cyberbullying. Be Kind Online is a place to learn how to stay safe as well, to learn best practices and plans to stop cyberbullying before it even has a chance.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms on this snowy Monday in Saskatchewan. We finally got snow after a couple of months of winter already. It is Jamie, Rory, and Jeromy. Thanks so much for joining us wherever you may be watching on the SJHL social media platforms. But we're now going to head to the video chat line where we're pleased to be joined by Melfort Mustangs forward Clay Sleeva. Clay, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. Really appreciate it. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
We're doing great. It's always a great time talking SJHL hockey. First and foremost, I'm going to compliment you on your mustache. Looks fantastic. What's the motivation behind the stash?
I don't know. First 2 years, I couldn't really grow one, and then this last year, I seen a little bit of growth. So I'm like, oh, I might as well curl it. So I don't know. I kept this a little bit iconic. Got a few chirps every now and again, but it's whatever.
Fair enough. Well, it looks very sharp. I'll ask you a serious question now. Obviously, a big 3-0 win over the Flin Flon Bombers Saturday at home. Obviously, you and your teammates must be pretty happy with your performance.
Yeah, it was good. You know, we had a tough loss against L'Orange in overtime, game that we probably should have won. But you know, Blevins told us, you know, let's get back into it, and I think we really came together as a team and you know, pulled the big one out against Flin Flon. I think that's a big statement for us too.
Yeah, for sure, Clay. Really appreciate your time. 5 games in, but obviously Yorkton Minor Hockey Kid, Yorkton Terriers U15, Yorkton Terriers U18. You know, obviously a bit of time up around where you are there in Tisdale, but the Yorkton Terriers Junior A. So same kind of jersey your whole kind of life. How weird has it been to wear a different jersey after all this time?
Yeah, you know, being there 2.5 years, never would have thought you'd be somewhere else. You know, would have been nice to end it in Yorkton, but I had a great opportunity to come to Melfort, and I was up in Tisdale my last year in midget, so you know, I'm kind of know the area a little bit. You know, I'm super happy to be part of Melfort, and I'm enjoying it so far. So.
Yeah, for sure. Just got to ask you too, as a quick follow-up, Clay. How did it happen? Like, where were you told? Did someone give you a call? And what were your first feelings? Because obviously the captain, local boy, you know, loved where you were. You know, what was your first kind of visceral reaction to the trade news?
Yeah, it's kind of happened a couple weeks before. There's a little bit of rumor, you know, the trade deadline's kind of the hardest thing in junior hockey. And I knew with us kind of being in the bottom of Yorkton, I knew it could be a possibility. I could be gone. And then the last couple of games I played, I had that teddy bear toss game against Melfort, and then I kind of after the game I realized, okay, yeah, this might be a place I'm gonna go. And they pulled me into the room, and yeah, they said you're traded to Melfort. So it was good. It was kind of a mutual thing too. They asked if I wanted out, and I said yeah, I'd like a shot at a championship with Melfort, and it was kind of the best fit for me. So
off the ice first, and again piggybacking kind of off Nugsy here. How has that adjustment been? On the ice, we'll talk about that. We know how good the Melfort Mustangs have been. But as Nugsy said, captain, you know, local boy, one team your whole junior career, just the adjustment period, getting familiar with your teammates, a new billet, kind of all that stuff. How did you take it? How did you handle it? And obviously you're fitting right in though.
It was a pretty quick turnaround. You know, you go from your billets of 2.5 years to a day later, you're in your truck, you're driving up to Melfort 3 hours away. But I think it was I had great billets, but I think it was a pretty good change for me. It didn't take long. You know, the guys were really welcoming. Coaches were excited to have me. And, you know, I think I fit in really good, and I've been playing good the past 5 games. And I'm excited to keep going the rest of the season too.
For sure. And, you know, obviously there's no secrets in this day and age. So one more question about the trade for me. You know, I think, you know, obviously in the world of fantasy sports, people look at trades, you know, in a bit of a different way. But in real life, obviously, it's a situation too where I'm sure, you know, you care about the Yorkton Terriers organization. You want the best for them. I was wondering if you could analyze the trade for us as a kind of analyst, because from our perspective, it seems like it's worked out terrifically for both teams. David Coyle has been awesome for Yorkton. You've been awesome for Melfort.
Yeah, it was. That's what I wanted to. Being the captain, I didn't want to just leave Yorkton with. I wanted to give him something to build for the future. And David Coyle, he's a great player. He's a 19-year-old. He's got another year there too. So I wanted to work out because Yorkton's done lots for me too. So I wanted to make sure that they had something to look forward to, and especially I had something to look forward to. My last kick at the can here, and so see what we can do with Melfort.
So championship aspirations, obviously for yourself as a 20-year-old, obviously for the Melfort Mustangs, one of the top 4 teams in the league. You're 5-0 since making your debut with the Melfort Mustangs. What's your biggest takeaway now as we kind of focus on the ice with the Melfort Mustangs? What have you noticed about the Stangs and what they bring and how you guys have just been so dominant as of late?
Yeah, they play tough. We got a really, really good roster playing with Hutchinson and Summers, and I think we've really, really clicked well. I think we got the same skill set, and Hutch has been putting the puck in the back of the net, and Sums can too. And I think I'm fitting in pretty good. But yeah, Blevins coaches us hard. Bang the body, but you can use the skill at the same time. So I'm thinking I'm fitting in really, really good.
Clay, I wanted to ask you, I know last year I interviewed you because you were the recipient of the RBC Community Ambassador, and obviously that program's just starting up again this year in the SJHL. But what did it mean for you to win that award last year?
It was awesome. I never expected to win the whole thing. My mom texted me after practice or later on one day because our season was done. She's like, "You won the whole thing," and I'm like, "What?" It's like I just got off work and didn't really think about it. And then I texted me, and a bunch of my buddies texted me. They're like, "Oh, you won!" So yeah, it was pretty special. Growing up, you're always at the Terrier games, and you always stand by the door and you're always fist pumping them. And to me, to kind of give back to the community and to the kids, it's been great, and hopefully I'm a good role model for the younger ones and someone to look up to.
Yeah, for sure. Another on ice question from me, Clay. It seems like in Yorkton you played a lot of center. Seems like in Melfort maybe along the wing. Do you prefer center or wing? And how have you found playing on the wing a little bit more?
Yeah, I could play both. It doesn't really matter. Like even in Melfort, like if Summers has like an off day on the face-off, like I'll go in and take a face-off, or I still penalty kill a fair bit, so I'm usually taking face-offs when I'm penalty killing. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of wherever I fit into the lineup and wherever they need me. It's not a big deal where I play. So
what has been the biggest adjustment in acclimating yourself into the Mustang way and into how Trevor Blevins, how he wants you guys to play in this push to the playoffs? And, it might not be different from a lot of the things preached in Yorkton, but what was the sort of biggest adjustment that, okay, I can focus on these details a little more and this a little less, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Blevins brought me into the office when he first traded for me. He said, we want you to carry the puck. We want you to control it. Sometimes in York, it was always kind of like a dump and chase, or like we had different systems. Mm-hmm. So he said, just be me, like play my game. So I think that's really, really helped me a lot. There's not a lot of pressure on me anymore, especially not having a letter on my jersey. I think it's just been an opportunity for me to just be me and play my game. And obviously coming to a new team, especially like a top team, the systems are a lot different. So that took me a game or two to kind of get used to, but I'm slowly catching it, and hopefully I can really, really grab them for the playoffs too. So,
yeah, just a last quick one from me. You just mentioned it right there. You don't have a letter now. Obviously, you were the captain, so you set the tone. You were the one calling the shots there in Yorkton in a way. You come to Melfort and it's a different world. How have you found that? Is it kind of strange? You're an older guy. Obviously, you've been around a while, but is it kind of strange? Now that you going from being not that you're not a big deal, but you know what I mean? Like you were the captain, you were the guy, and then now you're one of many. There's a lot of big personalities. Obviously, Lath Olafson's a big personality, et cetera, et cetera. Freetmore's a big personality. Like, how's that been kind of fitting in that way?
Yeah, first I'd like to thank York. That's a pretty big honor to be a captain for the team. Following some great ones in the past, but I think I'm still a leader by example on the ice. I might not have a letter, but I've played a lot of SJ games, and I think I have a lot of experience. I got 1 year in the playoffs too. We had a pretty big run against Melfort as well that year, so But yeah, I'm just hopefully to be a leader in the dressing room and leader on the ice. I can still speak up even if I don't have a letter on my jersey. So
Clay, I got a few Rory's rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so you've known the players on the Melfort Mustangs from playing against them. Now, a month and a bit on the team, who's kind of been the one that has really like surprised you with the skill now that you practice with them, play with them? You're like, whoa, like this guy's got a lot more than, maybe I thought coming in.
Definitely Aiden Hutchinson. Like you played against him. Like, yeah, sometimes he's pretty good, but he really, really showed it when you actually play with him. Like he's so smart with the puck. He can just put the puck in the back of net. Like he's automatic every time.
How about a player on Yorkton? Of course, you were the captain, the leader. You leave to a new team. Who was the most likely player to send you to Melfort with a nice care package, like a present with like a Yorkton jersey and some other things in there? Said, have a great time at Melfort. Who's that player in Yorkton?
That would have to probably be Colton Curran. He's injured right now, but Colton Curran, he's got a big heart. I feel like that guy would give me a package to send for sure.
I'm not sure if listeners or watchers know this, but Yorkton and Melfort in the arenas, they both have swimming pools in the facility. Was that part of your trade clause to go to a place that had a swimming pool in the facility?
Yeah, I told Emery, I said, if I have to go, I need to go to a rink with a swimming pool in it too. So.
Absolutely. What was the most gratifying team to defeat as a Yorkton Terrier? And, have the guys talked to you about rivalries with the Melfort Mustangs? Because I know, obviously, all your division rivals you're gonna want to beat them. But you got the Humboldt Broncos coming up on the weekend, and that's a big one as well, out of division, but the closest geographical team. So kind of a two-part. Who did you want to beat the most in Yorkton, and how excited are you to kind of experience the rivalries with the Mustangs?
Yeah, I think Yorkton would be always. Melville was always a tough one, and when I was there, we lost to them twice. You kind of had that fire to try beat them again, and congrats on Yorkton on beating them twice there too. But it would probably be any team in Yorkton, honestly, because you can always have a chip on your shoulder in Yorkton. It's kind of a team everyone wants to beat. But in Melfort, it would probably be Nipawin. I was here before Christmas. We played those 2 games against Nipawin, and the rumor was when I got there, that's the biggest rivalry they got, and I guess the Humboldt one too, but. The Nipawin games are pretty wild, so it was pretty fun to play. And
Don't be nice to Rory. Come on.
You don't have to be this weekend. I mean,
you can wire a puck into the press.
I expect to see the Clay Sleeva A game coming up this weekend for the Broncos and Mustangs stanza. That's going to be a good one. I just got one more quick one. Playoffs are coming up. Clark, our producer, asked me a similar question, but if you have to play through one of these injuries, which one would you rather play for? A broken finger or a bad Charlie horse?
Oh boy, might have to go with the broken finger. Actually, like a Charlie horse, it's tough to skate on. Like I've had a few. Like there's days where you want to get scratched, but you kind of gotta keep it. I'll probably take like the broken finger. Maybe I'll just tape it up to my other ones, and I should be okay.
I'm a big NFL guy. Of course, the NFL playoffs are coming off right now. I don't know if you are an NFL guy as well, but if you are, do you have a dog or a horse, no pun intended, in the NFL playoffs? You got a team you're rooting for?
Not a big NFL guy, honestly. Okay. I wouldn't even know, to be honest.
That's fair.
He'll just say the Browns just for you, Rory.
I'm a Browns fan. I'm rooting for the Browns. We'll have you if you want.
Yeah, I'm a big CFL guy. I'm a Stampeders fan. It's kind of tough being from Saskatchewan, but so there's a horse I guess you could say too.
There you go. Well, Clay, we really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for hopping on with us today, and congratulations on the success, obviously, in your SJHL career, and continued success in your final year with the Melfort Mustangs.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it a lot.
All right, that's Clay Sleeva of the Melfort Mustangs. Great chat. With Clay, obviously, the longtime Yorkton Terrier, and now Melfort Mustang, and they're 5-0 since Clay Sleeva has been acquired by the Mustangs. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to hand out some players of the week, and we're going to take a look at the guys projected, their opinions on the potential rosters for the SJHL at the SJHL MJHL Showcase taking place at the end of the month. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn
Increase your home comfort with high-efficiency natural gas equipment. Sask Energy offers rebates so you can lower your energy use and save money. For a list of rebates, contact a participating network member or visit saskenergy.com.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
Thanks for helping me out and trying to protect me today. It's the kind of thing that, somebody comes out who's not ready, not prepared, and put into an awkward situation without somebody taking leadership and saying, hey, I'm going to protect you. It's going to shorten people's careers. And that's a big reason why we exist and, what drives us to do what we do.
They know how important their role is in the community, being a good leader, showing kids that there is a right and a wrong way to do things and leading the right way, being a positive role model to not just kids in the community, but anybody in the community.
Coach said a lot of great things that are really consistent with the values that we have at the SCSA and, respect for those around us, respect for those that we work side by side with, leadership, and part of that is being innovative and collaborative and solving problems together. Really, the last one that you touched on was integrity, doing what's right and doing it the right way. And those things just yield incredible results, not just in terms of making things safe, but really being productive and striving, whether it be in a game or in your life or in your business.
I think absolutely we try and fill the roles of all those values and just try to be the best people we can, really, not only for ourselves, but for our teammates and for the community around us.
Had a lot of fun today. Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Northern Lights and Waterways, Saskatchewan.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. It's Jamie, Rory, and Jeromy. Thanks so much for joining us. Wherever you may be tuning in across the SJHL social media platforms, we just had a great chat with Melfort Mustangs forward Clay Sleeva, and now we're going to hand out some weekly award winners for the first week of 2024 in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. So let's start with SGEU MVP of the week, Nugsy, and it was a player actually that Clay Sleeva mentioned about, and that being Aiden Hutchinson. Great performance this week, 5 goals in 2 games. He continues to light the lamp for the Stangs.
Yeah, we talked about it. Summers and Sleeva, instant chemistry. 3 veteran guys know what they're doing, and Hutch is a machine when it comes to getting grade A chances and finishing them. No surprise, 5 goals, MVP.
Congratulations, Aiden Hutchinson. All right, Rory, moving on to Bourgault forward of the week, and the Nipawin Hawks, they picked up 2 out of a possible 3 wins this past week, and Alex Bernauer, 4 goals, 2 assists, a very good week. Great photo there by Richard Peterson there. Alex Bernauer, great week.
Great for you for, remembering the photographer. Oh, it's right there. I was like, he knows all the photographers' names around the league. That's pretty impressive. But what was impressive was Alex Bernauer. As mentioned, 4 goals in 2 wins in 3 games for the Nipawin Hawks. He was great. A bunch of Hawks were great. They scored 17 goals in 3 games. So that offense, you don't want to go up against it right now. And, if their defense steps up a bit, they're going to be a really difficult team to beat.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So congratulations to Alex Bernauer, Borgo forward of the week. Moving on, Super U defenseman of the week, Nugsy. From the Melville Millionaires, Colby Ball. He had a goal and 3 assists, and a big win, obviously, on Saturday.
Yeah, the Melville Millionaires needed a big win. Whenever things have gone well for the Mills this year, Colby Ball's been in the middle of it as they've been looking for some offense from their back end, especially with some injury issues to Peyton Costician. So big weekend for Colby Ball. He's got all the talent in the world. It's not a big surprise.
So congratulations, Colby Ball, Super U defenseman of the week. Moving on, Rory, Direct West rookie of the week. And actually, we featured him on SJHL.ca on Saturday because he is the Yorkton Terriers RBC Community Ambassador, that being Jai Zawatsky. And he had a great week, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. A great week for the Terriers rookie.
He's a special talent. I really hope to see him in the showcase coming up. He's on my mock roster, that's
Spoiler.
for sure. But yeah, you know what? I love that the Yorkton Terriers aren't saying, hey, we're just going to be sellers this year, giving away Clay Sleeva, right? Giving away Dylan Ruptash. Right. They're bringing in some bodies as well, right? And a guy like Jai Zawatsky, he can take that extra step up into a hole into some of these that are left by guys like Ruptash and Sleeva. You look at the standings, they're 2 points out of a playoff spot. Yes, they don't have the games in hand out of a couple of those teams, but they're right there. I love the, hey, we're not going to back down. We're going to bring in some bodies as well as, give other players another opportunity. And Jai Zawatsky is going to get an opportunity because of that. Great week for him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So congratulations to Jai Zawatsky, Direct West Rookie of the Week. Moving on, Super U Goalie of the Week, Nugsy, and we're sticking with the Yorkton Terriers, and that being Ethan Farrell. He had a big week. He was the busiest goalie in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Three games and winning 2 of them.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Last 5 games in a row, fellas, he is plus 900, high 900 in the save percentage department. The one loss, he got a lot of pucks on him against the Humboldt Broncos, and he was able to make a lot of saves. Came up short, but again, tough place to play, the Humboldt Broncos are. So anyways, Ethan Farrell's been awesome for the Yorkton Terriers. Couldn't ask for more to stabilize that position in Yorkton.
Yeah, he's been in 14 games since being acquired, and he's 8-6. So a good start to his tenure with the Terriers. So congratulations, Ethan Farrell, for being the SaskTel Goalie of the Week. And finally, the Cantera Seeds Saskatchewan Player of the Week. Rory, we've talked about him a lot when it comes to, especially this award this year. This is his 3rd time winning it. Braxton Buckberger of the Nipawin Hawks, another great week, 2 goals. It should be 2 goals and 4 assists, I do believe, for Braxton Buckberger. But the Cantera Seeds Saskatchewan Player of the Week, another phenomenal week for Braxton.
Yeah, really, really good. And as Nugsy said prior in the show, now has the longest current point streak in the SJHL, as both Kean Bell and Spencer Bell, the bell stopped ringing, I guess, both lost their league-leading point streaks, and now it's owned by Braxton Buckberger, who had a phenomenal week. And just, him, Bernauer, the forwards are clicking right now in Nipawin.
And to be fair, Christmas is over, so it makes sense that the bell stopped ringing.
Oh.
So there are your SJHL Players of the Week. Congratulations to all the award winners. And of course, as always, if you want to learn more about all of the award winners, you can head to sjhl.ca. The article will be up momentarily. All right, we teased it. SJHL MJHL Showcase, just around the corner, just a couple of weeks away. We're getting excited for it. And last year we did some mock rosters. Both of you guys did mock rosters for the event, and it was a great success, and we're going to do it again today. So both of you compiled your 2 veteran teams. We didn't really know what to exactly call them, U20 teams, but the 2 veteran teams plus your U18 team. So we'll let each of you go run through. We'll start with the U20 teams first, and then you can go into your U18 team. Rory, I'll give you the honors. Start with your U20 teams, and we'll pull them up on the screen.
Yeah, so what I did here, this was so difficult to do. I had to eliminate, 15 players that I think deserve to be on the team. But I separated the top 4 teams. So you see Battleford and Humboldt are together, and then Flin Flon and Melfort all are together. And then instead of trying to put lines in the blender, I just kept people together. So the top line of Kean Bell, Ben Portner, and Brad Blake stay together. Travis Bryson, Spencer Bell, and Cage Newen stay together. Then you got Braxton Buckberger with Mason Buchert and the speedy Jackson Allen on the third line. And all the Kindersley Clippers, Hilbig, Linklater, and Ingram stay together. Your defensive pairing, again, just familiarity there. If a coach wants to make sure that they're lined up left and right, then you'd put Alex Isaac with Connor Toohey and Tanner Gold with Dalen Weigel. Parker Layton and Liam McInnes were teammates back in Larange together. There's offense, there's defense there. They can hit you, they can grind you down. They can also make sure they set up the flow in the transitional game. And the netminders, I went with Ben Motu and Damon Cunningham. I didn't have one team that had to be split amongst the two veteran teams, which works well for chemistry-wise. The fun one here is splitting up the Flin Flon Bombers and getting a guy like Jerome Maharaj to play with Justin Lees and Carter Anderson. Good luck shutting that line down. Vaucler and Silvestri with the proven goal scorer Cole Wyron. That's going to be a great line. A couple of Melfort Mustangs with David Coyle, who's had an unbelievable sophomore year in the SJHL. And then the two Bruins with the captain of the Weyburn Red Wings, Max Manette. And then again, this D-core, Friedmore, Olofsson, Houle, McNutt, Allard, and Teasdale with Laser Hume and James Venn in net. I think they're balanced. I think both teams have, some of the best players in the league. Bell on one, Justin Lees and Anderson on the other. I don't think one team's better than the other. I'd actually like to see them go up against each other, right? The two teams. And I had so many omissions. Funny story, I was kind of putting all the players together, right?
Yeah.
And I thought at one point that I had to only eliminate 2 players. I counted. And I had 34 forwards on my roster. I'm like, okay, it's looking good. And I found it impossible to eliminate 2 of them.
Right.
And then I realized my math was wrong, and I actually had to eliminate 10 of them. So then I was there for like another hour. I'm like, how am I going to get rid of 10 of these guys? So it was really hard. I apologize if I left anyone off the list. I'm sure players that I left off the list are actually going to be at the showcase.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
That's kind of my mock 20-year-old teams.
What I would say, one thing I just want to compliment you on your teams is I love the idea and the thought process of potentially putting the Bruins and the Red Wings together. I love the idea behind that.
I also put the Bruins and the Bombers together.
Love that.
Yeah, yes, I did. The Bruins and the Bombers and the Red Wings are all on one team.
I love that. Do you want to move on to your U18 team now?
Sure, yeah, we'll do all mine.
Yeah,
sure.
let's run through we'll pull up your U18 team now.
This one's really fun. Of course, you got your shoe-ins like Van Blaerkom, Cohen Senft, right? Buckberger on the blue line. But it is mixed up of a whole bunch of teams. The main problem I had with this is there isn't a ton of natural centermen. So someone's going to have to shift in, like a Jai Zawatsky or Rylan Williams. You got Cole Keane and Colby Perlinger, who do play center. But I had to put the Perlinger twins on. Are there criteria fitting guys that have more points than them? Yes, there are that I left off. But the Perlingers are 07s, and they're the only 07s playing full-time roles in the league. So I had to have both them on the roster. Finley Radlov rounds out that line. He's had an unbelievable year with the Nipawin Hawks. I love the mobility and the size on the back end. You look at Ben Costantino and Carter Hines, both 6'5", can skate, can set up the play. Ronan Buckberger or Carson Olsen can quarterback your power play. Anthony McIntosh, one of my favorite young defensemen in the league. And then goalies, I thought it was pretty simple. Aiden Fisher, Kenneth Marquardt, the only two that have really played enough and fit the criteria for me to make the lineup. But this is a fun Young Guns team for me. And, I mean, you got Matthew Van Blaerkom, Cohen Senft. Whoever coaches this team is going to have a lot of fun. These lines were the least cemented out of all my 3 teams. You can mix this up any way you want, but that's just how I put it. And this is a lot of young talent. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, and I think for the Young Guns team, I think it's always, I mean, we talked about it last year, how difficult it was for you guys to narrow it down because there is a lot of great young talent in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, then trying to...
Landon Pappas was my hardest on defense. Like, the defense, there was 2 guys, I was like, well, Pappas is really good and deserves to be there. That was the hardest one. There's so many omissions. Vinny Palmerine, Merrick Mamich, Eric Hoynes, Braden Jacobs, Carson Dick. It was tough, yeah.
Well, great job. I thought the teams look great. Snoogsy, you're up. Let's see your team, your veteran teams.
Yeah, let's see if there's any points I can make that Rory didn't just make. Anyways, I mean, look, this was both easy because there's so many good players.
Right.
And it was also hard because who do you leave off? And lots of guys you could have left off. I know I'm going to get a lot of grief for not putting the league's leader in wins, the league's leader in save percentage, and Harmon Laser Hume on there. Also left off, Anthony Pichnacino left off, the likes of Adam McNutt on the back end. That's fine. You know, you can come at me. There's going to be a lot of games for the Flin Flon Bombers coming up. So there you go. Those are the guys who are not on there. I like the mix. I like the experience. I like the chemistry. I got Noah Houlid and Felix Allard, two French-Canadian kids that can play together. I have no idea if they know each other, but obviously they're both terrific two-way players. You have that built-in D pairing that's probably the best D pairing in the league in Freetmore and Olsen together right now. And Kovacs and Teasdale, again, they've been rock solid together for Weyburn. But a big reason why Weyburn is where they are this year. You know, you think about the speed of both teams. Obviously, the SJHL has all sorts of speed. Go down the list. I like how we have some differences.
A little bit, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know, you put the former teammates in Parker Layton and Liam McInnes back together. I split up Gold and Isaac. I know they're both Battleford North Stars, but they're both left shot D-men that never play together. So I'm like, why not put them with different guys? Sure. You know, Tui and Weagle rarely play together as well. So, you know, they're two talented offensive right shot D-men. Put them together. You know, and you go down the list there. You know, I think one of the differences that I had was having Bernauer in there. You know, I think he's been good. I think, again, some natural centermen all over the place, guys that can win big face-offs, because, you know, this isn't just an all-star having some fun hockey. It's gritty, it's grindy, it's big and physical, and they go at each other. It's good hockey between the MJ and the SJ All-Stars. So got a bit of size, got a bit of everything. I think, you know, you did a great job. I think, you know, I think I've got that chemistry, those good teams as well. So Jaron Desnoyers, is he one of the most underrated kids in the SJHL? He's leading the Orton Terriers in scoring, and he's been really consistent since he came in. Coyle and Bucher, who can finish too on that line. So, you know, I like both teams. I don't think we could have failed too much. I know probably the people are going to hammer me for no Laser Hume, and that's totally fine. Gotta put it what I want. This is not like the teams that I think will be there in Winnipeg.
These are your teams.
These are the teams that I would just pick personally. Okay. So there you go. There's lots of omissions. Obviously, McNutt, Jacob Cazette's another one. Clay Sleeva, we just talked to him. Max Manette, Caden Drury of the Millville Millionaires is having a great year in its wholeness. A little bit of a struggle lately for him, but yeah, there you go.
You found lots of points, Snoopsy.
Yes, and just to add to what you said earlier, you know, there's obviously between your guys' rosters, there are obviously similarities for the obvious ones, but I do like that there was differences, and
it's how hard it is.
That's how difficult it is, and that's what makes this fun. Let's see your U18 team.
Yeah, I love this even. I love the young team. You know, first of all, maybe it's one team, it's one unified SJ team.
Yeah.
So it's like the best that we can put together. Right. 05s and younger. Could I have put Carter Hines? Could I have put Vinny Palmerine? I thought long and hard about which one to put. I think right now, given where he's at this moment in time, his polish and his experience, Vinny Palmerine maybe fits in just a minuscule amount. A bit more, but what a decor. Both teams, the decor is just phenomenal. Obviously, D1 prospects in Buckberger and Olsen there. You know, Austin Oshovy, is there a better guy at getting pucks through from the point? There aren't too many. He's been so good for Kindersley. I think Braden Jochums and Carson Dick are two guys that have played a lot of center. I think maybe that gave them some props for me to kind of make a team that functions like as a team that goes in and can beat the young guns for the Manitobans. But again, I don't disagree with any of the guys that you put. I think the Perlingers are better naturally as wingers than centermen. I think Kobe has played some center for Kindersley, but you know, again, have to have them 07s. You know, top players, really productive players. Sinclair and Williams together with Big Beadall. I know I split up the Melville guys there, but Keen's a center. I tried to find a centerman for the Perlingers and Beadall there on the wing, even though Keen and Beadall play a lot together, I know. But there you go. And then Cohen Semp there with the Flin Flon and the Nipawin guys together. You know, I think that's a terrific line. And you put a polished two-way kid in Carson Dick with those two D1 commits on Humboldt there at the top, and Miller and Van Blair come. I think very good luck to the Manitobans trying to beat this team at the SJMJ. Again, I'm not saying I'm an expert on the MJ, but boy, oh boy, either one of our teams, very, very fun to watch. Very excited to watch all the games at the SJMJ Showcase.
Well, and I remember last year when we did this exercise and put up our rosters, I remember how excited we were with the U18 team. I remember how well the U18 team did last year.
Yeah,
they won both games pretty handily. Yeah. So we will see. We'll see if the SJHL has the same success. Of course, the SJHL MJHL Showcase is at the end of the month. The actual rosters for the SJHL MJHL Showcase for the Saskatchewan side of things. We'll find out. It might be later this week, the rosters. Might be early next week.
We'll say maybe a week.
Maybe. Could be later this week, though. I'm just going to say that. We'll find out shortly. Stay up to date with everything SJHL.ca. All right, let's take a look at the next couple of days here in the SJHL. Action will resume tomorrow night. 3 games on tap. There's the rematch. Melville, Weyburn, 7 o'clock, Crescent Point Place. Humboldt Broncos and Yorkton Terriers, they meet again. Of course, they just met Friday in Yorkton. And then the Laurent Ice Wolves will visit the Notre Dame Hounds at the Dunk Tank in Wilcox. Then on Wednesday, on trade deadline day, there is one game, the Laurent Ice Wolves, Estevan Bruins, 7 o'clock, Affinity Place. Now, usually, guys, I ask you at this time, what you're looking forward to this week. We're going to do things a little bit differently, though, just because obviously the trade deadline is on Wednesday. We've seen some movement. We've heard lots of rumblings. Yeah. My question to you is, I guess, what do you expect? Because the trade deadline is, if I look at the time now, probably it's just over, 54 hours away.
What time is the trade deadline on the 10th? I know I should know, but I also feel if you don't know, ask questions, learn, and get better. So what time is it?
My understanding is they've moved it because they don't want it midnight because they don't want the administrative people staying up all night. So my understanding
we appreciate that.
Is it's something like 5 or 6 p.m.
On the 10th.
On the 10th.
Get the trade in before.
Get the trade in there before the 5. Yeah, it's obviously it's not just an SJHL trade deadline.
Correct.
It's all the CJHL, all Hockey Canada sanctioned leagues, right? Not including the BCHL, obviously, but everybody else from the east to the west, and also the Canadian Hockey League, and also Junior B and whatever. So lots of moving parts coming up here.
Yeah, no moves after. I have it up right here. No moves after 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Saskatchewan time.
Correct.
Okay.
There you go. So my question now is, what do you expect over the next 2 days and change? Because, again, we've seen, rumors are rumors, but we've seen a lot of different things. We talked about the top 4 teams in the league where they've really separated themselves. Do you expect those 4 teams to potentially make some moves? What do you expect from the teams? For me, the one thing I'm watching, I'll just jump ahead and say this. I'm watching those teams that are from 5 to 9 because that's where I'm really intrigued about because those top 4 teams have separated themselves. Obviously, some of those teams really want to get back into the playoffs, but I'm curious what those teams are going to do, and that's what I'm kind of keeping my eye on.
We joined you on SJHL Insider. Nugs, you didn't think there'd be an avalanche. I wasn't surprised if all the teams, as you mentioned, from 1 to 10 made one more trade, right? Which means like 10 total trades. Some of those have happened now, right? So
we've seen some,
So a handful left, maybe 5 or 6. Would I be surprised if there's more? I would not. The big thing is that this race, as you mentioned, 5 to, hey, let's include 11 and 12 there. It's not over yet.
Sure. Big road trip for Laurent this weekend.
Playoffs are huge for financial lines, right? Yes. And everyone wants to get into the playoffs for their fans, for their players, but also for financial reasons, right? That first round, if you can get 2, 3 extra home games, is absolutely enormous. So for a team that is flirting with that line, if they believe their group can not only get into the playoffs, win a playoff round, why not add? Why not take that risk? I think it's worth it. So, I'd say a handful left, maybe.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, to your point, there's 5 points between 11th and 8th, right?
Yeah.
So there's the standings again. I mean, Laurent is only 5 points out of the playoff spot. I know Melville has all sorts of games in hand on most teams in the league, but still, I mean, just because you have games in hand, you still need to win them.
You got to win the games in hand.
Who you're facing, so it doesn't really mean anything. And the only thing that matters is what you have up on the board there. Look, lots of coaches, I can tell you, have their irons in the fire. Lots of talks are happening.
Of course.
Lots of guys are interested in this guy and that guy. Like it's not, I'm not saying if it is quiet, it's not because guys aren't trying.
Oh, absolutely.
It's because it's like just hard to make a move in a climate where 1 to 11 are that close to the playoff spot.
Well, you don't expect to see a lot of in-league moves. 100%.
For sure.
I would say very limited. Right? And then, of course, you have to worry about cards. You got to worry about, right? There's a lot of things. So
there's a lot of things. But, I agree. Probably 5 or 6 more is probably what I would say between now and then. So not a crazy amount. Enough for us to talk about.
Well, that's what we hope, at least. That's what we hope.
I don't know if a Liam McInnes-sized bomb is going to be dropped, but
it could.
We'll see.
Never say never.
Yeah.
Never say never.
If there's one team I would pick, and I'll throw this to you guys.
Okay, all right.
If there's one team that I think will be the one that will make the most noise, it will be the Estevan Bruins. I think there's been a lot of rumors and a lot of talk about what might be happening there. So I'm not trying to stir Jason Tarnock's pot, but you mentioned it, Jeromy, that there was an article out that Tarts was quoted in. He's not shy about it. You know, he's interested in making moves. But is there another team maybe that comes to your mind with you guys?
I don't think the Melfort Mustangs are done.
No.
Neither do I.
I don't think the Mustangs are done. I think the win over Flin Flon gives them even more ammunition. Okay, let's go, right? I do love their roster. If they are done, they can win. They can win the championship.
Absolutely.
But I do think it's enticing to have your irons in the fire and to look for one more piece if you're the Mustangs.
Yeah, for me, I would have said those were my two, would be Melfort and Estevan. Melfort, just because even before this past weekend, this victory over Flin Flon, they had lots of confidence that they could beat Flin Flon, not only because they won that first game, but even the games that they lost to Flin Flon, they were close. So they had confidence, and that, you know, making a move like acquiring Clay Sleeva shows that obviously we think we can be that team.
Yeah.
So obviously they had already had that confidence ahead of time. Now you get a win in regulation decisively over the Flin Flon Bombers. You have more confidence. I agree with Rory. I think there could be something there for sure. And I remember last year we talked about Melfort and they didn't make any moves, and now it seems like they're making a bunch of moves.
And they ran into injury trouble heading into the playoffs, right? They were depleted. So, yeah, getting Duguay back from injury, maybe another piece. Now, when that roster's constructed and if everyone's healthy, dangerous.
Well,
dangerous.
Flin Flon just gave up Fabrice Bourgeois, too, to the Maritime League. So is Mike Reagan hard looking for a D-man? Like, you know, we could go team by team probably.
We
don't have time for that. So I'm just saying.
Clark's
it would
like,
be
no.
Clark's like, I gotta go. I gotta find some lunch.
Probably. Well, regardless, it's going to be a very busy, maybe, exciting, maybe, next couple 50 hours or so. Stay locked, SJHL.ca, SJHL social media to stay up to date with everything when it comes to trades and everything in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Over the course of the next couple of days, of course, as we mentioned, trade deadline is taking place January 10th. So lots maybe to be determined when it comes to that. So stay locked, SJHL social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, I almost said Twitter, TikTok, you name it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If that's where you're watching this show right now and you're not subscribed, just slide over, click subscribe. It's free. And that's how you're going to stay up to date with everything when it comes to the SJHL, when it comes to shows, highlights, you name it. Before we go, we have to give a big shout out to all of our great sponsors. Of course, UPL is our presenting sponsor for SJHL Weekly, SJHL Insider, all of our great SJHL programming here with the league. So a big thank you to UPL. And of course, a big thank you to Bourgault, Cantera Seeds, Capital Automall, Chevrolet, Great Western Nutrient, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Sask Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, UPL, Sask Energy, SGEU, SGI. Thank you so much for your support. Without your support, these shows would not be possible. It was an exciting first week of 2024 in the SJHL. This week should just be just as exciting and maybe even more with the trade deadline on Wednesday. For Jamie Neugebauer, for Rory McGouran, my name's Jeromy Corrigan. Hope you enjoyed the new set. And this has been another edition of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.